Well, do I have some bad news for you? Those of you that were really, really pumped up for next generation consoles, there might be a feature that may not come for tuition after all of this. That's right. Games might only run at 30 frames per second on next generation consoles instead of 60. Let's get this video started. So, Microsoft did a world gameplay review with about 13 different Series X games running on the Series X, and they mentioned something about gameplay, and they said that Assassin's Creed Valhalla was going to be one of the big games that they're going to be showing off as gameplay. Well, that didn't come very, very true. Basically, it was basically almost like mostly trailers of each of one of these games. Now, there was a couple games that did show off a little bit of the gameplay, and one of them was this survival game or whatever that you basically kill all these dinosaurs, which that game, honestly, probably to me, is probably the most interesting game that I've seen on the Xbox Series X review gameplay stuff. And I might end up honestly getting it, to be honest with you. Well, it has been talked for quite some time now that because of how games cannot run at 60 frames per second on the Xbox One or PlayStation 4, which they actually did on like the first 2 to 3 years of their life cycle. But even still, then, with even the mid generation upgrades, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, games are still not able to run at 60 frames per second on console. So everybody was expecting, and we were all honestly thinking and hoping that maybe this next generation console generation is probably going to be very, very powerful enough to run 60 frames per second games. Well, I hate to honestly tell you, but it looks like that they're not going to be running at 60 frames per second. Because if you look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it was already confirmed that even though it was playing on the more powerful console, because the Series X is going to be the more powerful console for next generation. Not saying that the PS5 is not very, very powerful, because it is, but with the specs that they both have been announced, the Series X is the more powerful console. And here, the most powerful console was not able to run that game at 30 frames per second, or 60 frames is what I meant to say. So, yeah, 30 frames, and from what I read on Facebook just the last night or the day before, I forget when, but there was this post that what I was reading, and it was saying that the next gen systems, 30 frames might not be maybe the standard for gaming, is what I'm trying to say. And 60 frames might not be the standard for gaming like everybody's hoping. So I know a lot of people are going to get really, really upset about all this. And trust me, I understand a lot too. Because we want the best experience for games. And going from 30 frames to 60 is a huge step up, and especially performance. It makes the gameplay so smooth and all that good stuff, and it just makes the overall gaming experience really, really fun to enjoy. But honestly, I don't even care about that often, or that much is what I'm saying. Because even still then, with games running at 30 frames per second on the PS4 and Xbox One, and even the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, 60 frames and 30 frames, I mean, yeah, you're going to get like better performance and such like that, which here's what I honestly think of what's going to happen. I honestly think it's because we got ray tracing. Because when Microsoft showed off Minecraft, the demo of Minecraft with ray tracing enabled, it brought the game down to 30 frames per second. Now, that is what I think is what's bringing the games down to 30 frames. I almost said 60 frames again. But I think that feature is what's bringing the games down to 30 frames a second, because they've already said that Minecraft is, and especially Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like that game is going to be big. It's so freaking gorgeous, like, and especially probably with ray tracing on. Yeah, that's a lot of power that you're using for, especially on the resolution and the graphic side of things. So that's probably going to most likely bring it down to 30 frames per second. But here's honestly what I think. I think there are going to be two options that we're going to have. It may be none of these, but here are the two options that I think are going to be available on next gen systems. Even with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X that we have currently right now, there is a select few games that have the option to where, do you want the best in quality or do you want the best in performance and decent quality? Like, basically like Rise of the Tomb Raider, for example. Like, you could play the game in 4K on the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, but you're only going to be playing it at 30 frames per second with all of the details and such in 4K. Or you could play the game in 1080p natively with 60 FPS. And that's honestly what I think that they're going to have for next gen systems, is that they're either going to have to where you could lower the resolution and play the game at the highest 60 frames per second. Even though they confirm that games are going to run at 120 frames, you may even still get that option. Or they're going to have it to where you basically can like turn off ray tracing mode and just play in the native 4K mode, and the game may actually run at 60 frames per second without the lighting ray tracing option on. So, yeah, I can tell you, next generation consoles is going to be very, very interesting, but there's this leak, like I was talking about, that next gen systems might only run at 30 frames a second as their standard frame rate, which I honestly will not have a problem with, but I know a lot of people will. But yeah, 30 frames per second may actually be the standard frame rate target for next gen systems. This is Infernal Shard 1 for the win. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys could, please hit a like if you enjoy this content. Subscribe for those of you that are new to the channel. And send me down in the comment section down below if you was really, really hoping for 60 frames per second, or if 30 frames does not affect you as much as it doesn't do me. So, just send me down in the comment section down below of your thoughts on the video. And subscribe for those of you that are new. And hit a like if you enjoyed the video. And we will catch you guys out on the next video. Peace out.